This is Sparta!
Oh, hi there everyone, this is Del from Spartan Racing again, and today I'm going to do a video over a few parts about going from Fanatec V3 pedals to the Heusinkveld sprints. Hope I said that right. So these just arrived today, and I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing and then have a look at getting them in, getting them set up, and trying to see, sort of what the differences are between going from the V3 Fanatecs to these sprints and see what difference it really makes. So what we'll do first is do a bit of an unboxing and see how things look. Okay, so as you can see, they come in two boxes, a thinner box and a slightly thicker box. So let's have a look. So, tape on the side here. Okay, so I got these from the guys at HRS, or Hybrid Racing Simulations. Amazing to deal with. Brett, one of the nicest guys around when it comes to supporting and doing equipment. So I recommend anybody, if you're looking for some of the best stuff around, have a chat to HRS and they will definitely look after you. So let's see what's in the box. So box number one. So there's a box within a box. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed because I'm trying to hold my phone at the same time. So there's the first box. This one out of the way. And what's behind box number two? Is, surprisingly, the base plate. So we'll get onto that one a little bit later. Okay. See how she opens up. Okay, so here's the nicely sealed up instruction manual. A little box of accessories. Oh look, aren't they pretty? And the three pedals. So let's say we've got an accelerator. They're really nicely packaged. So, a brake. And I'd say that's probably the clutch. They look really nice. Let's have a bit of a closer look. The finish is really good. Powder coated, there's grey powder coating down the side. Really nicely put together. Really clean, simple. And these guys make some great stuff. Yeah, that's lovely. Brake's got some chunky rubber in bits and pieces. What I'm going to be doing is pulling off the rubber and making this brake really stiff, because that's the way I've got my Fanatecs really well dialed up. Very nice. Okay, so let's have a quick look in the little accessories box. I don't think we need to get the base plate out just yet. So, okay, so in the accessories we've got USB-A cable, the extra rubbers, look of it, and tools and bits and pieces. Excellent. Okay, so in the next part of the video I'll be getting these things all mounted up onto the plate, see how I'm going to mount them. I'm using an R-seat in one, so I just want to see how these are going to mount up on that part of it, and we'll see how we go from there. But so far these are really nice looking set of pedals, and I'm really excited about getting them put onto the base. I'll put onto my rig and see what sort of results I can get. Alright, see you on the next part. Okay guys, as you can see, I've got a R-seat in one with next level motion system, run VR, and I've got the Fanatec limited edition Formula 1 wheel on a V2 base. Also some DSD button boxes and a couple of Samsung tablets and handbrake and gears, and down here the Fanatec V3 pedals, which are the ones I'm going to be chucking the Heusinkveld on there. So it's just a matter of how I'm going to go about mounting them, whether I'm going to mount the pedals directly to the base plate of the R-seat, or whether I'm going to put the Heusinkveld pedals onto their base plate and then put that base plate onto this base plate. So that's going to take a little bit of time just to figure that out. So when we come back, what I'll have is I'll have the pedals mounted up and see what's going to be the best and most comfortable way for me to have these things set up. And then we can start playing with some software and getting into some races and really seeing what the difference is. Okay, so we're back, and as you can see, I've got the pedals mounted onto the plate, and believe you me, it's a challenge to say the least. One little issue, one of these screws, the bolt for it that was supplied seemed to have been reamed out a bit more than than all the others. So what I had to do, as I lift this up, is I had to use one of the 80-20 mounting plates to bolt that in, because I didn't have one of these bolts. So it was one of these bolts that was reamed out slightly. Now what I've done is I've taken that, I've mounted it onto my R-seat pedal base, but again it didn't fit the existing holes, so I had to drill out a couple of new holes, or 4 new holes there and there. So yeah, and this whole unit is, with the R-seat mounting plate on it, is pretty damn heavy. So now I'm going to go and fit this up to the R-seat and come back and see what we get up next. Next thing is going to be connecting it to the computer, then testing the pedals and see if I have to make any changes to any of the compression or any of the springs or bits and pieces. Okay, as you can see, I now have the pedals installed in the R-seat, ready to be plugged in and ready to go. What I did do is I turned these pedal plates here. I turn them around, gives me a little bit more pedal surface area under my foot. Where they were when they came out of the box, they were a little high and it felt a bit uncomfortable, so I just flipped them around, and that feels a bit more comfortable. Now, somebody may ask why I have my pedals mounted so high. Well, the reason being is in the R seat I have the Next Level V3 motion sim, and what that does is that lifts the seat up by 70mm. Unfortunately, there's no other way of getting it down lower, so that's the reason why I raise the pedals up, and I raise the wheel deck up as well to sort of match. When you first get in, you sort of feel like you're sitting in a bus, but once you got everything in the right position, you got VR on, you don't notice it. Now, just to answer another question I got asked on a previous video, if you're in VR, how do you use all the button boxes? Well, didn't always have VR. I used to race using a 55-inch OLED screen, and I just learnt muscle memory now, so I just kind of know where the buttons are by feel, except for the buttons on the new Fanatec wheel, because I haven't sort of learnt where they are, but some of the buttons I've just kind of pretty much same as the other wheels. Like, for instance, this button here is just for chat in iRacing. This one here is just to do the tear off or clean the screen, and that's at the moment pretty much all I use. Okay, I'll come back after we get some software installed and see how easy it is to actually set these things up. Okay, so we're back and everything's installed on the rig and plugged in, and downloaded the smart control software from the website, and let's start the calibration process. Okay, that's pretty simple. Start calibration. Pedals are in their rest position, yep. So, throttle. And next step, push down the brake and hold the maximum force. Next step, release. And clutch, same thing. Next step, and release. Save new calibration. And everything's zero, so let's check. Yep. Oh, that brake's nice. Just really smooth. It's not snapping to the end by any means, so looks like could be some really nice trail braking. And the clutch is the clutch. Okay, so now let's have a look at this profile. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated. So it's telling me I'm using 40 kilograms of pressure, and these are my dead zones. I've got a habit of resting my foot on the clutch if I'm running, say, a GT3 car or an F3 car, and I'm putting down a little, so if I just put my foot on just a rest position on the clutch and it's sort of depressing slightly, there's no activity. I get the activity, I go a bit closer. Let's have a look. If I'm resting on, very little movement to get that throttle to start triggering. So what I'm going to do is I might add some bottom dead zone. So I'm just going to push down just a little bit. Let's go to 9. And then I'm right at the bottom of the throw. So what I like to do is I like to have my maximum sort of back a wee bit so that I know I'm getting full acceleration. So let's just increase that. Let's put it right down, increase that slightly. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm getting maximum acceleration and I've got a little tiny bit to go. Let's go a bit more. Yeah, that's better. Let's do the same thing with the brake. Yeah, add a bit more dead zone, because if I'm resting my foot on the brake or two, I don't want to be activating it, so that's better. And yep, that's good. And the clutch, well, that goes right to the end. It's going to definitely add some more top dead zone there. There's like a, when you push the clutch, it's like it goes to a point and then it goes quickly. Obviously like pretty much the same as the Fanatec did. So yeah, that's reaching maximum. So that's pretty good. Getting a smooth throw of the brake. I've got a little extra on the back end. It's great. And the brake is awesome. So I've got to put 40 pounds of pressure in the back of the brake to really get it to that last little bit, usually where you sort of lock up about here. And there's some different abilities you've got here to change different curves. So if you're going to run, say, an S-shaped curve, you've got a nice progression, then it sort of goes quickly to the braking. Yeah, I don't think I want to play with that too much. I'm just going to sort of stick with everything linear. Save the pedals and close the software. Okay, so the next step is to jump into a, well, not a race, but do a bit of a practice. So I've been running the Lara F3 quite a lot, so what I'll do is I'll get that set up and do a run around the track and see how I go compared to my times when using the Fanatec pedals. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so welcome back to the next part of the video. So I did try to record this video in VR to do it sort of live, but unfortunately I got the motion sim, and the movement of the motion sim coupled with viewing in VR was really distracting when you're watching it in a replay. It's okay while you're racing, but when you're watching in a replay, yeah, it was just bouncing around. People would have been throwing up watching the video. So just to start off with, this is the third lap that I did after installing the pedals, and it's my fastest lap time around here is about a 15.1, I guess. Sorry, a 15. Yeah, 15.009 or 15.1, something like 15.1, I think it was. So I'm not fast by any means. There's guys getting around here in, 112. So hey, good on them. But they're just really quick guys and really good at it. And I consider myself a bit of a mid-pack racer. I've won a few, lost more than I've won, but I just really enjoy this hobby and slash sport, because let's face it, it pretty well is. And I'm trying to just always find that little bit extra. And the thing is sure, I could have spent a lot of time working on my racing, working on lines, and just and I'm always been getting faster and faster, but sometimes you just kind of need that that little bit extra. And I thought, well, I had the opportunity to buy a set of the Heusinkveld sprints. So I took the opportunity to see, how much the difference really was between these pedals and my Fanatec V3s. Not taking anything away from the Fanatec V3s, they are a fantastic set of pedals. I just wanted to go to what I guess you would consider the next step. And like I said, this is the third lap in, and let's just see how it goes. So the thing I did notice is the fidelity of this of these pedals is just really something. It's so smooth. The accelerator is really smooth and just really fine detail. The braking, again, it's just that really nice smooth braking. You got some really lovely. The trail braking isn't jerky by any means. It's it tracks really well. Where I did find with my Fanatec, sometimes the brakes and the accelerator sometimes felt a little bit stabby, like it was sort of on off, not this progression of on off sometimes. Spent a lot of time adjusting them, as you've seen in my other videos. But things like coming up to the corkscrew, normally I'd brake a lot earlier than this, and when I come into the corkscrew and accelerate out, I would everyone spends a lot of time spinning around in that corkscrew. The corner that really did make a difference for me was the last left-hander coming onto the main straight, the one just coming up now. I was able to brake quite late. I had a bit of a lock-up, but if I would have braked that late, in using the other pedals, I would have just slid straight off the track. So let's see how we go over the line, and a 1:14.744. So it's taken, 0.3 off my lap time. Now, it's a lot of investment for 0.3 of a second, but you remember this is 3 laps. This is the 3rd lap I've ever done in these pedals in this car, and the way I look at it is, it can only get better. It's 12 months down the track, that 0.3 might be 1.5 seconds, and as I play with the pedal tuning and getting everything set up to suit the way that I drive, then it could be even less. So I could be one of those guys doing 1:12. I doubt it very much, because guys are freaks, but at the end of the day, you're always looking for that extra tenth, and that extra tenth in this game, or in this sport. You shouldn't say game, it's sim. If you're going around a track and you're getting an extra tenth here and there, and you've got 20 corners, I mean, that's 2 seconds literally off your race time. That's huge. So the investment for me, just my initial impression is, it's worked, and it's made me not only just, okay, so there's an increase in the lap time, or a decrease in the lap time, but it's the feeling of the pedals when you're actually racing. There's something just really nice and smooth and controllable, and I think when people start going into these higher end pedals, they, I've had feedback from other guys who have said, yeah, once you sort of go into these sort of pedals, you really notice that difference in the smoothness and the way the car feels. So for me, yep, so far so good. Any changes, I'll definitely let you guys know, and I'll maybe do a few other videos in different cars as I run some other other races. But thanks very much for watching the video. Thanks for all the really great comments that I get on these videos. I try to answer as many questions as I can, and just enjoy this amazing hobby, and just put into it whatever you want to put into it, because you definitely get it back out of it. So thanks a lot. See you on the next video.